to another episode of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? And what are reading and writing? I'm Karen E. Osborne, your host, author of Getting It Right, Tangled Lies, Reckonings, and my brand new book, historical fiction, True Grace, which came out recently. And my guest today, I'm excited for you to meet him. He is a prolific writer of children's books. His name is Kalinga Augustine Mulenga, and he is speaking to us from Johannesburg, South Africa, where it's what? It's 4 in the afternoon, something like
Yeah,
that?
4 in the afternoon. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, like the difference with the Europe as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you a little bit about him, and then he'll tell you all about himself. He is a best-selling author with, now listen to this, 31 books. 31 children's books to his name. They're available on Amazon and on his website, which he'll tell you about at the end. And he says that he loves writing children's books with a positive message while making them laugh and be entertained. Welcome, K.A. Mulenga.
Thanks so much, Karen. It's great to be here. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm delighted to have you. So tell us about your writing journey. I had read on your website that as a little kid, you were writing, and then you stopped, and your 11-year-old son inspired you to pick up your true calling. Tell us about that.
Okay, so yeah, this is a funny story. My family and I were on our way home from church. I've got my wife and I've got two daughters and my son, who's the last born. And he was having a writing competition at school. So he was telling us all about it. And I said, oh, I used to write when I was about your age, and I won a few prizes at school. And because I'd never told them about this, so none of them believed me. And they all said, oh, yeah, right. So yeah, long story short, I said, okay, just to let you guys know that I did used to write. I got out my laptop, wrote my first book, wrote my second book, and when I saw that I still had it, and it was still my passion and my calling, that's when I decided to say, okay, I've actually written these books. Let me just get them published. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wonderful. And so one of the things that you chose to do, if correct me if I'm mistaken, is that you chose to self-publish. And tell us why you chose that route. What was the decision like?
Okay, so once I had written my manuscripts and went through the whole process, I thought it was going to be, I'm a qualified accountant, so I had no idea what publishing a book was all about. So I thought, okay, my books are pretty good, my manuscripts are good. Let me send them out to, some publishing houses, and I'll get them published soon. But little did I know that here in South Africa, there's not a lot of publishing houses. When you look at what the population is. We've got a huge population, but not a lot of traditional publishing houses. And they just choose a select number of authors to get published. So after sending out my manuscript for a couple of months, at the same time I was doing my research, and I saw that there was the self-publishing option. And after doing my research, I saw that it takes a lot of work, but it wasn't as hard as as people made out that it was. And after about, I think it was 2.5 months, I published my first book, Donk and the Stubborn Donkeys. And now I have 31 in total.
Wow. A lot of people are here in the US, among our audience, predominantly my audience is in the US, but people in Australia watch and people in England watch. But we have a nice mix of ways to self-publish and be successful here as well. And I've interviewed quite a few authors. So what advice, if you were to give a writer who's has a manuscript and they've been sending it out and it's not getting accepted by an agent or a small press. Do you have any advice that you could give our aspiring writers out there about taking the publishing route?
Yeah, definitely the advice I'd give is definitely to do your research, and obviously you have to be patient, and just get as much advice as you can get from self-publishing authors like myself. I also do have a little self-publishing online course that I offer. It's predominantly for children's books, but I mean, other authors could use it as well. And it's from what all that I've learned. So I jumped into a 6-module self-publishing course. The first module is free, and then the other 5 are you pay a nominal fee. But that definitely helps out. I've had a few people who have enrolled, and they did get a lot out of it. But obviously, there's so much out there that you can learn, and that's what I did. So the advice would be, if you don't want to pay for it, obviously there's a lot of free information out there, and then you can just pick and choose. And yeah, you definitely make mistakes. I did, and I'm still making mistakes, but eventually you will get it right. And I'm still learning. I'm still constantly also doing more and more research, subscribing to newsletters here and there. Sometimes it's repetition, and you just sift through what the new things you learn, and what you already know, you just put it aside. Yeah, so that would be my advice.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that because no matter what one is doing in the world of arts, uh, studying your craft, researching, communicating with other writers, that's something that's just a lifelong process
Yep,
if
it
you're in
is.
this business, because you want to just keep getting better and smarter. And then I
Yeah,
love that you have something on your website to help other writers.
yeah.
I find that it's a very generous community and that we help each other a lot. So
Yeah.
I like hearing that. Um,
Mm.
so the thing that intrigued me the most when I saw your website was that you like to use humor and entertain children while you're incorporating positive messages to these children. So could you
Mhm.
give us, some examples from some of your books? Like how do you do that? Tell us about that to make them laugh and learn.
Yeah. Okay, so an example I would give maybe is like Polly the polecat. A polecat is an African skunk. It's the same as your American or your European skunks with what it does. So obviously, what I incorporated in there was that Polly was a skunk who would unfortunately let fly when she didn't expect to. And eventually she used to think of ways not to do it. And remember, that is the skunk's protection, against predators and stuff like that. So what happened was eventually her dream came true, and she stopped letting fly when at unexpected times. But she came in a moment of danger. I mean, she couldn't release that smell. But eventually her brother came and helped her out. But long story short, is to be careful what you wish for. Sometimes you wish that you could be, yeah, something that you've always dreamed of, but eventually it doesn't work out that way. So yeah, that was just one of the little humorous things that I was trying to teach kids out there, that you have to be careful what you wish for. Sometimes your God-given talent or your God-given gifts are there for a reason. Yeah. So yeah, that's just one of the many humorous anecdotes from my books. Yeah.
Yeah. And I see behind you Elaine the elephant.
Yeah.
What's her story?
Okay, yeah. So Elaine was a tiny elephant for her age. Her and her family were always, doing things together. But Elaine, because of her size, couldn't get things right. Sometimes, using her trunk to get water and drink, she would battle to do that, or to peel the bark off the tree trunk. That's how elephants eat. Elaine used to battle there, but her parents and her sister and brother would always motivate her to say that, if at first you don't succeed, just try again. And yeah, eventually she did, and they were all happy for it.
Nice. Very, very nice. Um, so what is your, I'm just dazzled by how many books you've written. So I know that different writers have different processes. My son, for example, who's a short story writer, but he has a full-time job and he has like you, he has family and other obligations. But he made a promise to himself he would write at least 15 minutes a day. And then I was just speaking with, just helping a fellow writer, and he writes 6 hours a week. He sets a goal, right?
Mm.
So, and then I met another woman who she says she writes every single day. So I
Mm.
was just wondering what your process is. Do you set goals? Do you set page goals, chapter goals, or do you just wait for the muse to inspire you?
Okay, yeah. So basically, for the children's books, since I'm so prolific, I can write 2 or 3 of the books in a day. It's not a goal. It's basically just what, like you said, when the muse comes in. Because right now I've sort of taken a break because there's so many. And I'm trying to push for the marketing and do the book readings and stuff like that. But my next goal will be before the end of the year. I'd like to publish another 10. So I know for a fact that I can definitely write those 10 within 2 or 3 days, the actual, end product. But then I'll send them to the editor and get the illustrations and all that done. But I can write the children's books 2 or 3 in a day. When it comes to because you saw that I have finished my memoir, there I would write a chapter a day. That would be my goal. And I'm not sure whether I told you about this. I've also I signed a publishing agreement with a small press here for a middle grade novel. I signed that, it's been about a year and a half ago. It's been a process, but I'm hoping that it will be published this year. But for that, also my goal was to write a chapter a day, because obviously that's much longer than the 31 children's books. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us about the memoir.
Okay, yeah, the memoir I published that, I think it was about 3 or 4 months ago. And that's basically about my time growing up in Zambia in a neighborhood. It was a farming neighborhood. But it just ended up that I don't know what the coincidence was, but most of my neighbors were basketball players, and we all went to different schools, but we ended up all just falling in love with basketball. And Zambia is a soccer loving nation. Basketball is not really one of the main sports, but yeah, we fell in love with it. And it's such an interesting memoir because, since it's not a main sport, to get the sneakers, to get the ball, to find the courts. It was such a journey, and it brought us all together as friends. And yeah, it's something that I still love the sport. And yeah, I still watch it. I still watch the NBA when I can. The time difference is a bit of a problem, but yeah, it's something. It's a sport that taught me so much and brought us as friends together. And it taught us, yeah, it taught us so much as well.
What's the name of it?
The name of the memoir is called Makeni Homeboys. So that was the team. That was the name of the basketball team. We used to travel all over Lusaka, which is the capital city, just looking for games. And, we'd use public transport. We'd get onto a friend's car. And yeah, so it's called Makeni Homeboys. That's the name of the memoir.
Nice. So people can find out more about it on your website, right?
Yeah, it is on Amazon. It's only an ebook at the moment, but yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So quite the different genres: children's books, middle grade, memoir. So
Yeah,
I'm like you in the sense, not 31 books, but I like to try different genres, and learn
yeah,
different genres. So that's very,
yeah,
very cool. So this is
yeah,
called What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? So we like to give our audience recommendations, book recommendations before we part. So could
yeah.
you, what have you read lately, or what books would you like to recommend to everyone?
Okay, so this year I finished. Last year I finished Nelson Mandela's The Long Walk to Freedom. I would
Mm,
definitely recommend that. And that obviously was his autobiography. But then, because I read that, I wanted to read another aspect of his life, and that was his biography written by Anthony Sampson. Since that was not his, those were not his words, it was the words of someone else. So that was also very intriguing, and I enjoyed that as well. So that is the biography of Mandela by Anthony Sampson. I would recommend that. And I am currently reading Americana. I don't know whether you can pick that up there. It's by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She's a Nigerian author. And yeah, that's what I started reading this about sometime last week. So I make it a point to read every day before I start work. I read for about 10 to 15 minutes a day just to free my mind as well. But that's what I'm
right.
currently reading, and yeah, it's quite interesting. It's a different take on another tradition, another country, because obviously I'm from Zambia, living in South Africa, and this book is based in Nigeria and in America as well. So yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, this has been wonderful. What a wonderful visit. How can the audience find out more about you? You mentioned that your book is on Amazon, and you tell us your website. Tell us what your website is.
Okay, so my website is www.kamulenga.com. Yeah, and there you can find all my children's books, the 31 books. The memoir and the short stories are not available to purchase from my website. Those are only available on Amazon in ebook, and they are free on Kindle Unlimited.
And are you on any other social media? Like, are you on Instagram or um,
Yeah,
LinkedIn or
I'm on all social media. So
all
it's
social
Instagram, yeah,
media?
all of it. TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. What else is there? Yeah, I think that. Oh, and Pinterest. Yeah.
All right. That is excellent. Excellent. Well, I hope all of you have enjoyed this conversation with K.A. Mulenga. It's I watched you on YouTube as well, which is very enjoyable. And this will be on YouTube. This recording I posted on my YouTube channel and on my website, KarenEOsborne.com, and on my Facebook, Karen E. Osborne Author. So I hope you will follow KA. I hope you are already following me, and I hope to see you next week on What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Have a great week, everybody.